Hey guys, after a whirlwind weekend at Disneyland with Mr. Kerr and a whole bunch of Slack community members, I'm here to tell you that we cover a lot in this week's episode. 10 topics in 20 minutes, including our thoughts on whether Spirit Airlines will be flying in 2027, whether Southwest's boarding chaos is here to stay, and Richard and I weigh in on what we think is the single best co-brand credit card out there. All that and a whole lot more on this week's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. Mr. Kerr and I are going to try to zoom through 10 topics in less than 30 minutes, our little version of Pardon the Interruption. But before that, you were actually back on the road, Richard, and I want to find out, do you still love the road warrior life?
Absolutely not. No, I don't. I did not fly for 5 weeks, probably for the first time in 10 years. I did not go to an airport for 5 consecutive weeks. And everybody's like, oh, you're going to get back and realize you're back in the saddle and you missed it. Let me tell you, I walked into LaGuardia at 5:30 on Friday morning and thought to myself, this is still just as awful as it was 5 weeks ago. I don't want to do it. But the company was great. Flew down to New Orleans, supported Ashley Peterson. Ashley gets around on her third year of her Travel More conference. I like this conference because an interesting group of folks who attend that do not look like other Points and Miles conferences, which look a lot like just me and you showing up from our mother's basement. Quite a different crowd here. I got to talk about Bilt. My entire goal of going down there was explaining the larger Bilt business so that people would stop referring to us as only a credit card company, and had a great time. Had some po' boys. I hosted a welcome party. I went to sleep. I woke up. I spoke. I went back to the airport and flew back very late Saturday night from New Orleans. I did not miss traveling at all because Sunday I was wiped out and exhausted, and while I had a great time chatting to everybody in New Orleans, man, the quick trips, I'm just too old for this. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, I hear that on the quick trips, but it does sound like you met a couple of listeners and viewers of the show down there.
I don't know, man. Maybe because it's just, us in a group text message most of the time, or maybe because I just forget how many people have listened to this podcast, because so many people stop me and, we're asking about Thomas and Mary and how school was and how Mrs. Kerr is doing. And a lovely listener brought me a huge bottle of Topo Chico, which I checked my bag so I could bring it back with me because I cannot get Topo Chico here at the Brooklyn Costco. So thank you for that. Also, in the speakers lounge, they had this awesome candy bar, which is just like, it was gummy thing after, like, my kryptonite. And I brought some gummies down while, again, people were really excited about Bilt. It was awesome. Had a line of folks, waiting to ask me questions. And I was just snacking on some gummies to get a little sugar pick me up because it was a long day. A woman who introduced herself as a mother, so I'm not making stare. She walked up and she was like, as a mom, Richard, I just need you to stop eating those Sour Patch or Albanese. And she handed me this Super Greens pack of gummy bears that were like green super vitamin gummy bears. And she was like, literally, she was like, eat these instead. Please don't eat those. I tried them. They were awful. So while I appreciate that listener handing me and trying to look out for me and her mother instincts taking over, they were just super green gummy awful. I'm going back to Albanese and Sour Patch only for me. So thank you very much to everybody who stopped and, it's great to just be reminded that, there are people out there listening to us, Ed. Why? I don't know, but they listen to us every week.
Yeah, well, it's not for our looks. We're fully aware of that. And I'll wait till I have my affiliate link, but I do actually have some gummies that I think you should try, though I would never replace them with the best gummies in the world, Haribo. So, and since you mentioned
that's just
Topo Chico,
a lot of terrible opinions.
Another shameless plug for anybody out there listening from Topo Chico that we could use a couple sponsorship dollars from the Richard needs airdropped Topo Chico, maybe like a little drone style cushion.
Yeah, I will embarrass myself if Topo Chico wants to come and sponsor the podcast. Whatever the ask is, the answer is yes.
I would just stipulate that you already embarrass yourself, but here we are. So a little bit of housekeeping.
Here we are.
He is at Kerr Points on all those social media channels. I am at Pizza in Motion. If you want to text the show or leave us a voicemail, 571-293-6659. Mr. Kerr, you missed out on last week, but Summer and I were able to hold it together. As you well noted, it's been a crazy time for all of us right now trying to get schedules to work, but hopefully that by the time this episode is dropped, we will all have seen each other on the West Coast.
Assuming that air traffic control and TSA shows up for work, I'm very excited to go.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. It's part of our 10 topics. Come on, man. Come on. All right. Well,
yeah, I guess by the time you listen to this, we have the first Kerr Family Transcon from New York all the way out to John Wayne. And if you're listening to this, I hope it went well.
Yes, I hope it went well too, because if not, it means either you're going to be in a bad mood or I'm not going to see you, both of which would be less than pleasant. If you want to sponsor the show, help us sponsor the show for a few bucks a month, you can join our Slack community. Thanks to new members, Brian and Hish. Hope I pronounced that right. And thanks to longer term members, Adam M. and Alice M. for your support of the show. All right, Mr. Kerr, pardon the interruption style because both of us have a lot of stuff we have to get to from a work standpoint today. We're going to try and zoom through 10 topics. We're doing like a minute a piece here. All right. So we'll take turns, I guess, on who goes first.
Yeah. You go first.
I'll go first on the first topic, which is actually your topic. So we're talking about Bilt's new transfer partner, Etihad. And here's my one.
Tell me all about it.
Yeah, here's my 1 minute on it. First off, love having expanded transfer partners. I don't think this one's going to be broadly recognized in terms of the value because I don't think everybody thinks about traveling on Etihad, just your normal everyday folks. But I'd say 3 key areas where I see value in the Etihad program. First off, if you're transferring points there, premium cabin availability on their own flights. And their partner stuff is also pretty valuable. So ANA flights to Japan and American Airlines business class flights. So that's what I would be focusing on if I was looking at the Bilt Etihad partnership.
One thing I will call out is do not forget that you can redeem Etihad on JetBlue, and there are some good redemptions there if you want to fly some Transcon or Caribbean JetBlue flights. But overall, get really excited. Everybody knows a great onboard product. And I will just tell everybody from behind the scenes, Etihad is very motivated to enter the North America market and continue to expand. They have Charlotte coming online. They're moving Atlanta to daily, flying the A350s. And, I think it's been far too long since I've been on an Etihad plane, although thanks to Ed's help, I do have a flight still scheduled from my old home in Atlanta for March on Etihad. But I'm excited about all the other things that we're going to do with Etihad as our partner, and I'll leave it at that.
I think I have an Etihad flight scheduled out of your home airport of Atlanta sometime in early next year. Yeah, I keep getting changes for it when we had that crazy American Airlines sale. Yeah, pretty sure I do. I have no idea if I'm going to fly it, but to be continued. All right, so number 2 on the list is You First. Teeing it up, we just heard about the new Hilton promo for the fall, which is one of the weakest Hilton promos we've seen in a while, although slightly better than the last one. But it calls out this fact that we're just really not seeing a lot of hotel promos right now. Given what we've talked about from a travel demand standpoint, the question is, Mr. Kerr, are you surprised or not surprised about the lack of promos right now?
I don't really know what to make of all this stuff, man. Everybody says demand is down, the economy's not looking great, but this morning I saw the headlines of, the Fed's going to cut the rates and, Wells Fargo's expanded the U.S. growth outlook. Do you really think the hotels are in a spot where they don't need additional incentives to get people in the doors? I am a little bit surprised based on what I'm seeing out there. And I was actually looking at, thankfully, the wonderful new capability that the Hyatt website has where you can see all of the offers that you're currently eligible for, which I love because I forget about them. And, it's a lot of non-U.S. stuff. So I guess demand in the U.S. continues to do well for the folks, but maybe they need a little help internationally. So my final answer is I'm a tinge surprised that there's not additional promos.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first time that Mr. Kerr used the word tinge on the Miles to Go podcast.
Just a tinge.
Probably the first time that word has been used on the Miles to Go podcast. I would call it me a little bit surprised too. I guess the only way I could paint this narrative is that the fall is still okay enough that they don't feel like they need to discount it, but that 2026, will be softer. And some of that is based on the fact that I'm still seeing relatively high prices to very bizarre flight times to Vegas, California for our California trip coming up, Chicago trip, all still showing fairly high prices for things that are, in the next, call it, 5 or 6 weeks. So maybe 2025 is still strong enough, and that's why we won't see hotel promos. I would say I'd be significantly more surprised if we don't see some in the first half of 2026 and or some other signs of softening. So
I still can't get over the prices that you're having to pay for Vegas flights out of Dulles. It is wild. I told you I'm going to see our partners in Alaska after our trip to Los Angeles, and I'm flying from Seattle back to New York, and everybody's economy class, Transcon was about $375. Everybody's business first class for the Transcon was like $1,800, and then this one noon takeoff flight on United first to Newark was $599. And I was like, am I going to pay $122 to sit in first class for 5 hours versus $378 for Delta economy? Heck yes. But that was wild, man. And thank you, United, for whoever filed that fare for some reason. No idea. But, Alaska, American, Delta, First class, all $1,800 one way. United, $599. Is that like we want Seattle market share, or is that like, hey, nobody's booking this noon departure out of Seattle, let's just sell these seats? Like,
I guess maybe because it's a noon departure. I don't know. I mean, I'm still consistently seeing Vegas flights where it's, $600 one way in coach, Dulles to Vegas and back, and first class fares that are, 15 to 2,200 one way. And in a pinch, I had to pay $800 one way for my return from Vegas last week, a Friday flight. So like usually people are going to Vegas on Friday. In this case, I'll be paying $800 to leave Vegas. Currently in a middle seat, campaigning for an aisle or window seat coming soon to a plane near you.
Vote for Ed. Support the campaign.
Support the campaign. All right, number 3 on our list, and I get to go first on this one, but this was your comment when we were talking about your travel back from New Orleans. So the Delta Shake Shack burger, and this actually came up yesterday in a work meeting I was in, and Delta Flyer was talking about how almost everyone in the cabin had ordered the burger, and there were just a couple people that hadn't. And so my question is the Shake Shack burger desirable, or is it the least worst option? And since I get to go first, I will emphatically declare that it is the least worst option because it is passable at best as a burger. The bun never survives in any sort of realistic condition. And I would just argue that you can get a heck of a lot better burger at a lot of places once you're on the ground, including Shake Shack. But burgers in the air, least worst option. Final answer.
We're gonna win this argument in one question. Ed, have you ever had the Delta Shake Shack burger on board? You have.
I have.
When did you fly Delta first class and have the Shake Shack burger?
When was it? Was it later? It was within the last 6 months because I've noted that they did not try to do those devastatingly horrible French fries that United did.
Yeah, you do get a bag of chips.
Yes, and the bag of chips were the highlight.
Yeah. I thought the burger was objectively good. The meals that I had on Delta from New York to New Orleans and back in first class this past weekend were just... They were awful. Yes. And it's weird because I did the 24 hours order ahead so that you get the quote unquote special meal that's most desirable. Like I said, I flew very early Friday morning. The breakfast that I ordered was the special like coconut rice, sausage, spinach, and something else. I sent you guys a picture of it. It was just awful. I mean, should have gotten the French toast or whatever. I was like, why is this the special order? It doesn't even, I mean, it was awful. And on the way back had like the short rib. Again, like the short rib itself was fine, but everything else that was just congealed together in this mash of a little bit of mashed potatoes, a little bit of smashed carrots, a little bit like, oh man, just not. If you're gonna do it right, then just don't try and do this stuff that can't even. It was awful, man. So. No Shake Shack burger was available, unfortunately, sadly, for that trip to New Orleans and back, but the other meals were atrocious. But I objectively thought that Shake Shack burger, my bun was fine, dude. This is a good meal. Like, this is a satisfying meal.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I looked at the catering for United. They're actually going to make a change, or maybe it just happened in October. But so these are the choices for next week's flights: herb roast chicken breast, seared beef tenderloin, roasted beets, or seared salmon. Things are just like much more middle of the road sort of dishes as opposed to like a crab cannelloni or something that was like what are you doing? I would say objectively on my last handful of flights to United, the best thing I've had is the snack pizza later in the flight that they serve on 4 flights now, and significantly better than any of the meals. But I'll at least say I'm cautiously optimistic that they seem to have gone a little bit more back to basics with the meal choices, and maybe these will be more desirable. So
we are flying United Economy from Newark to SNA this weekend, and I was looking at the pre-order. Are you paying $10 per reclined snack box? Are you packing peanut butter and jellies? It's like a 5.5 hour flying time looking at the flight performance. What are you bringing on board for that flight in the back of the Economy?
I'm hitting Trader Joe's, and I'm bringing granola bars. I'm bringing pistachio nuts. I'm bringing dried cherries, and then a little bit of trail mix I make at home. That's what I'm doing. The recline box is just too much junk in them for me.
Yeah, we got to feed these Kirk kids for 5.5 hours.
Good luck with that. That'll break your budget the way your son is eating right now.
All right, 2 Shake Shack double cheeseburgers in an order and a half of fries. That's 4 patties, probably 3,000 calories right after baseball practice. Housed it all. He's this big. He's a little kid. He's literally this big if you're looking on YouTube. I don't understand, man. Don't even know where it goes.
Yeah, I don't either. All right. What could be the most surprising question of our 10 questions today, and neither Mr. Kerr nor I have any idea what the other one is going to answer here. Single best co-brand credit card. To clarify here, airline or hotel co-brand credit cards. I did a lot of research on this.
Or retail co-brand card. It doesn't have to just be, and this is the best co-brand card.
All right. Well, Mr. Kerr might be tipping his hand there, but he gets to go first here. I'm gonna get to go second. I would say I would bet a significant sum of money that we are not going to have the same card.
So I think the single best co-brand card out there right now is the Atmos Summit Rewards Visa Infinity card.
That's what I picked.
100,000.
Except no.
No, it isn't.
No,
it isn't. I was like, no, you didn't. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because I now have rent to pay and I get 3 points per dollar on my New York City rent, but it's 3 points per dollar on eligible dining, foreign transactions, Alaska and Hawaiians. You get 25,000 point global companion awards. If you spend, I think it's another 25,000 annually, you get a second award. You get a 25,000 point global companion award earned after qualifying purchase on a new account. Redeem it for 25,000 points off a companion award, and then a 100,000 point global companion award if you spend $60,000 more in a card anniversary year. And if you're paying your rent, hey, I'm knocking out a huge chunk of that right there. And I think it's just a solid card that is out there right now with the Atmos Summit Visa Infinity card. Final answer.
So I finally got the Atmos Summit card. It took me 24 minutes on the phone. Bank of America could not verify me online, which a couple people in the Slack community had mentioned that they had the same problem. It was Patrick that mentioned that. 24 minutes, man. And that's how we used to apply for credit cards. You'd like fill out a paper application or you'd call, and it was brutal. It was painful, but I did get approved. And it is not my choice for cards. I would say just shortly looking at the landscape, the way I evaluated best in this case was I tried to think of like the normal average listener of this show who is not a road warrior, someone who's going to use this card for family vacations or occasional vacations throughout the year and probably doesn't have a ton of actual travel spend like road warrior spend throughout the year. All the airline cards, I would just say, like notionally, none of them really are worth their weight. They just aren't. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a future show. But just you're not going to get your spending value out of those cards. So you have to like lean into the extras on the cards, which I don't think enough people will based on what some of those fees are. I really wanted to pick a Hyatt credit card because it's the best card for me from a co-brand standpoint. But when I looked at the landscape, I actually landed on the Hilton Honors Amex. They're no annual fee card. And the reason why is because of the breadth of categories. So 5 points per dollar on restaurants, gas, and supermarkets. So for a normal everyday person, they're picking up a number of points on a bunch of different cards, so a bunch of different categories. They're earning 3 points on everything else. Objectively, I would say I'd take 3 Hilton Honors points over 2 Marriott points, which is what their entry-level card gives you. And there's no annual fee, whereas the Marriott card and the Hyatt card tie an annual fee to a certificate that you have to use. And so I think overall flexibility for folks where you're not tied to a certificate and you're not tied to an annual fee. You can earn points in a broad number of categories. And I think for base level spending, I would take 3x Hilton over 2x Marriott. I would still take the Hyatt points myself personally, but I just think this is a card for the everyday person. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Perfect.
And,
thank you.
It's just so many Hilton points for a free night, and it continues to get more, man, that I just cannot.
At the top level, yes, but I still think there are a number of reasonable.
Dude, the Hampton Inn by the Braves Stadium is like 70,000 points a night. Like, I just can't. I can't, man. Like, and this is feedback that I openly share with my partners and this feedback that, I just, like, it's so many points for a night now. I really struggle with that.
Well, like you said, everybody's entitled to their wrong opinions, and I would just note that at least...
I'm glad you shared yours with us.
At least at the time of recording, my baseball team is still playing, so the rooms near the Atlanta Braves Stadium are probably pretty cheap right now. Barely. All right.
Barely.
All right. Number 5 is me first. All right. So me first. Katie in the Slack community brought this up. She's noted, as did Jen in the Slack community as well, that now that Southwest has moved to their new system, that the carry-on situation on board is a bit of a dumpster fire. And they've noted that it's impacting boarding time, waiting for bags. Bags are left on the jet bridge that nobody knows what they're for. People trying to shove bags in the overhead bin and make them fit. And so, my question for us today was, is this the new normal, or are Southwest customers going to adjust to this over time? since I get to go first, I would say that this is the new normal. I think Southwest, even though they have increased the number of business travelers that they have over the year, they are certainly more of an occasional traveler airline. And I think you're going to have a number of people higher than the other airlines traveling on a periodic basis who just aren't going to get it from a bag standpoint. And so I think what used to be a pretty seamless boarding process is now going to be sticky and gooey like everybody else's. What say you, Mr. Kerr?
I think that last part of your last sentence is exactly what I'd say. This is the way it is for everybody else. This is the way it is. It takes forever. In the U.S., now we're starting boarding 45, 50 minutes before departure because Americans cannot figure out what to do with this 8,000 pieces of carry-on luggage.
Yeah.
And like they can't even figure out where their row is. And then you've got, anyways, disaster, man. It's the way it is, but it's the way it is for everybody else. I don't think there's anything unique to Southwest here.
Yep, I agree. All right, next up, you're up first for this one, and I'll be the cat hiding in a room full of rocking chairs, hoping that this doesn't come to fruition. But will you or I have travel disruptions this weekend based on the government shutdown, air traffic control, TSA, all that stuff? Will there be travel disruptions this weekend, Mr. Kerr?
As I said in the group text getting ready for this weekend last night, it's a good thing that I'm not flying out a new, oh man. If there's one airport that's going to go downhill first here with all of the government shutdown, it will be Newark. So I am not worried about it from any kind of safety standpoint, more of like, can they keep operations going if there's two guys or gals in the ATC tower, or if TSA only has one line open. I don't know. I'm going to say, yes, one of us will definitely have travel disruptions trying to go transcon this weekend or home.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the other side of the coin, and probably only because it's what I'm wishing for. I'm going to say no, and that maybe we're just early enough in the government shutdown that it's not going to ruin one of our weekends. I hope that I'm right. I hope.
Well, by the time you're listening, we'll find out.
Yes. All right. You're up next for the first answer on this one. Jackson Jet Setting from our Slack community noted this for us to talk about. Hilton Outset collection. This is a new collection of properties for Hilton. These are mostly unbranded properties that are still to be either developed or added to the Hilton program. I guess my question, Mr. Kerr, is the 25th new brand of Hilton with more unbranded properties in theory to come. Is this a yay or a nay for you in terms of adding value to the Hilton program?
Short answer is I don't know. Long answer is I'm a little bit concerned about the headline used in the press release, a focus on owner flexibility with the backing of Hilton. What does that mean? Owners will be balanced strong product and service with a wider, more flexible range of experiences and amenities along with the quality and award-winning hospitalities that travelers have come to know from Hilton. For example, food and beverage offerings will vary across the band based on market demand, guest sentiment, or hotel. Basically, this is my own opinion. This is my personal opinion. This is my concern. We're not going to have a whole lot of brand standards here, and you're going to get what you're going to get. And there's nothing that's going to be, any recourse if you don't get elite status benefits, points. The owners can do what they want to do to save cost, which, again, this is my personal opinion. And I just don't know, man. Like, in 10 years, are there going to be 47 Marriott brands? Are there going to be, 39 and a half Hyatt brands? Are there going to be 50 Hilton brands? I think, as our good buddy Gary Leff routinely writes, is that you are not the customer; the hotel owner is for these brands. There you go. That's my answer.
Yeah. So I want to see more firm information about earning rates before a final answer, but I'm going to lean towards that this is a positive. I'm going to go with yay here and say that I'm happy to see unbranded properties. The older I get, the more I travel, the more I prefer unbranded hotels, and so I'll take my unbranded hotels with a small side of Hilton Honors points. That's my answer for my tentative yes answer for now. All right, next up, you spent a bunch of time in Japan, so Kyoto I know is a place that's probably near and dear to both of our hearts because I really enjoyed my time there. We'll link to this article in the show notes from a friend of the show, Lucky at 1 Mile at a Time. New Kyoto tourism taxes as they try to slow down the stampede of people coming to visit. Up to $200 a night in taxes on luxury hotels, and the equivalent of somewhere between 20 and 30% between the various taxes that are offered. It's a new 10% tourism tax on top of a 10% concession tax, which also can be on top of a third service tax. So, Mr. Kerr, is this going to keep you from going to Kyoto if you were thinking about going?
No, and it's not going to keep anybody else. It's just a huge money grab by the city. Let me quote from this release here. However, Kyoto's accommodation tax is not designed to deter tourists from visiting and has been implemented to make sure tourists are, quote, bearing the cost of countermeasures against over-tourism. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to deter tourism. It's just a nice money grab by the Japanese government. So congrats, everybody, for funding the cost of countermeasures against over-tourism.
Yeah, I do think this will deter tourism to some degree. I mean, at the luxury level, probably not. I would just say, given those sorts of prices, I think Kyoto's a wonderful place to visit. Really enjoyed it. I would consider a shorter stay there now, or I would consider staying somewhere else nearby and taking the train in, because that's a very reasonable thing to do in Japan. All right, 2 topics to go to close us out, Mr. Kerr. And you're up first on this one. Will Spirit still be flying in January of 2027? Actually, no, I'm first on this one because you just did Kyoto first. So I really struggle with this question, and I'm the one that made the darn question up. So for folks that haven't been paying attention, Spirit is working out debtor and possession financing for their second time in bankruptcy. They're giving up an immense amount of planes, almost half of their fleet. And as our buddy cranky flyer Brett Snyder likes to say, it's incredibly hard to shrink your way towards profitability. So will Spirit still be flying in January 2027? Just to clarify, the way I wrote this question is, they're not merged in part of another airline in January of 2027. They're still an independent carrier. And I would just say, based on what I think is coming, the softness in the economy, all that stuff, and so many different planes, as much as I'm rooting for Spirit to succeed because I do like the model, I will say Spirit will not be flying in January 2027.
I would say they will not be flying in today's configuration. Actually, in New Orleans, there were 5 to 7 Spirit planes parked on the tarmac. I know they continue to shrink. I certainly hope they are. Everybody listening to the show knows I'm a massive fan of low-cost carrier. Actually looking to fly them December 1st back from Fort Lauderdale to New York because they are 1/4 the price of what everybody else is charging on the holiday weekend. So I don't think they will be flying in today's configuration. I certainly hope they are.
All right, last question. Alaska made some companion pass changes. The companion pass has seen some reduced flexibility over time, but the most significant change that just came through is that now instead of a multi-stop trip, you can only book a one-way ticket or a round-trip ticket. So the example that I saw was, Seattle to Honolulu maybe, Honolulu to Kauai, Louis, and then from there back to Seattle, and that would all be one ticket that you could use a companion pass for. Companion passes, by and large, valuable benefits that can be tough to use, and so the question here, Mr. Kerr, is it a big deal that they've changed the way you can use these, or is this just a sign of the times?
Sign of the times. Don't think it's a big deal. Probably affected very minimal people. How many people do you know that go on Google Flights and try and book multi-stop itineraries? Not very many. If you want to go to Hawaii and visit multiple places, you can get a $30 Southwest flight between the islands to go and see different spots. So I don't think that big of a deal here. Do we always want it to be as flexible as possible? Yes. Is it still way easier to use than Delta's companion fare? Yes. So sign of the times.
Yep. Shout out to William from our Slack community that brought this one up. I would agree with you that it is sign of the times. I think the Delta companion pass is more difficult to use and or more constrained in how you can use it. I think companion passes in general are a valuable benefit that just goes significantly underused, and they sort of, like the airline stepsister to the category 1 to 4 award that Hyatt offers, or the whatever the 35,000 point Marriott certificate. That these are just, they take work to use. Finding a Marriott property for 50,000 points or less where you can top off a certificate and get your 35,000 point value, or finding a category 1 to 4 Hyatt. It's just harder. And same thing with the companion pass. It's a little bit harder to use. It's friction. And I would say most people don't fall into this category, Mr. Kerr. Concur. All right. Well, that's a wrap for us on 10 topics. I hope you guys will leave us comments. Let us know if you like the format. We've done this a few times in the past. Mr. Kerr suggested it recently, and so we brought it back to see if folks like what they see. Man, I really hope that question 6 is a no for us, and I really hope that everybody gets to California on time this weekend. There's almost 40 of us collectively, and many Slack folks. There's probably 15 or 20 Slack folks meeting up in California this weekend for the Disneyland meetup.
I did not know that. Thank you for alerting me.
I believe I have, but you may have been a little bit busy. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of us swarming around out there. I'm looking forward to a little bit of a meetup this weekend with folks from the Slack community in between stops at the park, both Saturday time in the parks, and then Sunday night Oogie Boogie Bash at Disneyland, which I have done exactly zero research on yet. So I've got a couple days where I need to get up to speed on that. Until then, I've got a full day of meetings, as does Mr. Kerr, which means we need to get back to our day jobs. So Mr. Kerr, until I see you this weekend, and until we upload again, we've got miles to go.
Let's just say a 15-minute commute away from the facilities was not going to happen. Yeah.